Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this video. Today I want to talk to you guys about a photo challenge. A photo challenge that I myself did when I was really trying to focus on improving my photography skills. The first year when I was shooting photography, I was all over the place. I was shooting landscapes, I was shooting portraits, I was shooting street, I was shooting nature photos, I was shooting long exposure photos. I was just trying to get shots up in any way that I could. And that's what you're supposed to do as a beginner. You need to be figuring out what you gravitate towards, what you don't really like, where you're naturally kind of gifted, and where you actually need to do a little bit more work. The Canon AE-1 program is the first film camera that I purchased. To say I was intimidated would be an understatement. I was scared to shoot this camera. As a matter of fact, I think I had a roll of film in here for the first 2 months when I purchased it. I didn't want to make any mistakes. I knew I only had a certain number of exposures to get it right and to get the shots that I really wanted. I didn't have a lot of room for error, which brings me to the photo challenge. In this challenge, you have to limit yourself to 36 frames. Why 36? Well, it's typically the number of exposures you have in a roll of film. That's not it with this challenge. You also need to make sure that all your settings are correct in camera. You won't be able to go back and touch it up in Photoshop or Lightroom. You'll have to focus on taking your time and figuring out what your exposure should be, what your framing should be, and taking the shot that you have in mind. Yeah, you thought it was going to be easy with 36, right? Visualize the shot beforehand. Meter your light. You can meter your light with an external light meter, or you can download one on your phone. If you're shooting film and your camera has one in camera, utilize it. Try out different angles. Not every shot has to be shot at eye level, so play around with that a little bit. It'll add variety to your 36 frames. This challenge isn't just coming out of nowhere for me. I've actually played around with it quite a few times this year. I'm going to share photos from the first time I did this challenge last December. Not all the shots are great, not all the shots are good, and some shots I just messed up. But I learned a very valuable lesson while doing this challenge. I learned to slow down. I learned to pre-focus. I learned to frame my shots ahead of time. Now I shot street and I shot portrait photos while doing this challenge for the first time. I'm not going to share the portraitures only because I haven't asked the models for the permission to show them on this platform, but I highly suggest, if you're a portrait photographer, to shoot portraits and limit yourself to 36 exposures. A lot of times you can find yourself relying on the fact that you have what seems like an infinite number of exposures at your disposal because you're shooting digital. And if you focus on getting the shots you actually want and you've envisioned ahead of time, you can cut down on the amount of shots that you have to go through and process at the end of your sessions. Now I'm going to show these street shots I took while I was in downtown Los Angeles at Santee Alley one weekend. If you've never been to Santee Alley, let me tell you, it is a challenging place to shoot. The vendors don't want you to shoot their products. The people shopping there are skeptical, and you know, everyone's kind of on high alert. And I'm always like, why are y'all so stressed right now? Is there something I don't know about that's happening? Like, let me know. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I had to go back to this location twice because the first roll of film that I shot, I developed it and I didn't develop it properly. So then I had to go back the second time and then I had to redo it all. I think some of the vendors remembered me because they were looking at me like, no photos, no photos. I'm like, calm yourself. What are you selling, sir, that has you so pressed right now? Can I know? Do I want it? Never mind, I don't want to know. Alright, so for your viewing pleasure, I have done absolutely no work to these photos. I haven't even cleaned up the scratch marks on the finished frames. So enjoy all my imperfections for you to see. I also want to make sure I really encourage digital photographers to take this challenge on. It's been very beneficial to my portrait work, and I can't praise this challenge enough for it. During my first year of photography, I definitely saw improvement, mostly in how I edited my photos and the subject matter that I tended to gravitate towards. However, I wanted to see more improvement a little bit faster. So I started challenging myself. I'd give myself small little challenges to do, and I also found a mentor to kind of work with me, and I told him what I specifically wanted to improve on. So he also started to help me and throw challenges my way to help me improve as a photographer. All right, so give this challenge a go. See how well you do. See if you're able to identify areas that you may need to improve on. No matter what, you're going to find out where you're really strong and where you perhaps need some work. Don't be put off if you end up with 18 frames that aren't very good. I mean, try to play the percentages. If you hit 23 out of 36, that's not so bad. If you're only hitting 2 out of 36, then you may want to slow down a little bit more and try this challenge again. A lot of times when we're getting ready to take a photo, we feel rushed, so we just snap it. You're not necessarily thinking, oh, let me make sure that I have focus on the eyes. Let me make sure that my framing is just right. Let me make sure that my exposure is what I need it to be. With this challenge, you are forced to slow down. Your focus needs to be pin sharp. Your exposure needs to be correct from the get-go. And your framing is crucial. Make sure you don't cheat yourself. Don't get into Lightroom, play around, and fix the things that you messed up. Sure, later on you can go ahead and play around and bring up your shadows, bring down your highlights, go in and crop it, go into the photo and crop in to the way you like it. But before you do any of the fixes, make sure that you're paying attention to what you possibly could have gotten better in camera initially. And that's how you'll grow as a photographer. If you do this challenge, that'd be great. Either write me in the comments and let me know how you fared, or tag me on Instagram here. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please give the video a like. It really helps me out a lot. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.